In 2016, a group of American diplomats in Havana started hearing something. A high-pitched grinding sound like metal scraping inside their skulls. Within days, they had splitting headaches, memory loss, nausea, and ringing in their ears that wouldn't stop. Some say they never fully recovered. To this day, the US government cannot agree on what caused it: a weapon, a country, or nothing at all. If you're new here, hit subscribe, because this channel digs into the cases governments don't want fully explained. This is Murk Vault. Today, we're breaking down Havana Syndrome, the mysterious illness that has hit American spies, soldiers, and diplomats on almost every continent, and the investigation that may have uncovered the strongest lead yet. It started quietly. Late 2016, U.S. Embassy staff in Havana, Cuba, began reporting strange symptoms. They described hearing a piercing noise, sometimes from a specific direction, sometimes seemingly inside their heads, followed immediately by intense pressure, dizziness, and disorientation. Doctors who examined the diplomats found something unsettling. Several patients showed neurological abnormalities and symptoms similar to those seen after a concussion. But there was no obvious injury, no accident, and no clear explanation for what had happened. By 2017, more than 20 U.S. personnel in Cuba had reported similar symptoms. The State Department evacuated staff. The press started calling it Havana Syndrome, and the U.S. government quietly opened one of the strangest medical investigations in its history. Here's where it gets bigger. Over the next few years, nearly identical cases started showing up, not just in Cuba, but in China, Russia, Austria, Germany, Poland, Colombia, even on U.S. soil, including near the White House. CIA officers, State Department staff, and military personnel all reported the same pattern: a sudden sound or pressure sensation, followed by headaches, vertigo, brain fog, and, in some cases, long-term cognitive issues that ended careers. By 2021, the CIA had logged over 1,000 reported cases worldwide. Officially, the government called these anomalous health incidents, a vague label for something they couldn't explain. And that's when investigators realized something terrifying. Whatever was happening in Havana wasn't staying in Havana. So what could cause this? In 2020, the National Academies of Sciences released a report suggesting the most plausible explanation was directed: pulsed electromagnetic energy, specifically microwave radiation aimed at a person's head. This isn't pure science fiction. The phenomenon is called the Frey Effect. Discovered decades ago, pulsed microwaves can, under certain conditions, cause a person to perceive sound that isn't actually there, directly inside their skull, without anyone else hearing a thing. If the microwave theory is correct, it could suggest the existence of a device capable of affecting people from a distance. But researchers remain divided, and no such weapon has ever been publicly demonstrated. For years, some U.S. officials and intelligence analysts suspected Russia. But suspicion is not proof, and publicly available evidence remains incomplete. Still, Cold War-era Soviet research into psychotronic weapons and directed energy was well documented, and the geography lined up. Many of the worst affected diplomats had recently served in or near Moscow. In 2024, a joint investigation by 60 Minutes, The Insider, and Der Spiegel dropped a bombshell. The investigation suggested a possible connection between several incidents and members of a secretive Russian military intelligence unit known as GRU Unit 2-9155, the same unit linked to assassination attempts in Europe. Journalists cited travel records, communications data, and other evidence that appeared to place certain officers near multiple reported cases. Some of these officers reportedly had backgrounds in radiation and non-lethal weapons research. However, no government has publicly released conclusive proof linking the unit to the attacks. But here's the twist. Just months before that report came out, the CIA had stated that most Havana Syndrome cases were unlikely to be caused by a foreign adversary at all, pointing instead to environmental factors, pre-existing conditions, or stress. So now you have two competing official narratives. One suggests many cases may have alternative explanations, while the other points toward the possibility of a coordinated foreign operation. Victims say they feel abandoned. Many were denied medical compensation for years, despite medical evaluations that many victims believe support their claims. Some had to fight the same government they serve just to get treatment. And the bigger question remains, if this is a weapon, who else has it? If a device could affect someone's brain from across a room or through a wall with little to no evidence left behind, how would you ever prove it happened? How many other unexplained illnesses around the world might actually be this? The U.S. government has spent years investigating Havana Syndrome. Yet even today, there is no answer everyone agrees on. Was it a foreign weapon, a medical mystery, or a combination of factors we still don't understand? Maybe Havana Syndrome is the first invisible weapon of the modern age. Or maybe it's the greatest intelligence mystery of the 21st century. Either way, someone knows the truth. And until that truth is revealed, the victims are left with questions that still have no answers. Comment, if you've ever heard a sound that just wasn't right. This is Murk Vault, where hidden truths are brought into the light.